Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Friday, February 20, 2026 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Warid Ahmed, and for today's headlines, firstly, Gulf states have collectively committed over $4 billion to Gaza reconstruction at Trump's Board of Peace meeting. Secondly, Ronaldo has invested $7.5 million to this health tech company. We'll talk about it later a bit more. And finally, the Crown Prince of Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Khalid, arrived in New Delhi for India's AI Impact Summit. So there's definitely a lot that's going on today. For the first story, Board of Peace member states Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar and Kuwait pledged more than $4 billion toward Gaza reconstruction at the inaugural U.S.-led meeting in Washington. The Gulf contributions essentially anchor an initial $7 billion down payment announced by President Donald Trump during the summit that was attended by representatives from 47 nations. And you have Naguib Sawiris, the Egyptian billionaire, asking, where is the rest of the $7 billion from? Yeah. I'm honestly really curious, too, of how they put this together.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait each committed $1 billion, while the UAE pledged $1.2 billion. Other contributors include Bahrain, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Uzbekistan. Trump said the United States would contribute $10 billion, although funding mechanisms and congressional approval remain unclear at this stage. It's photo ops, basically, for now.
And reconstruction estimates for Gaza exceed $70 billion after more than 2 years of genocide in Gaza. Now, the territory's housing, healthcare, schools, and energy infrastructure have suffered extensive destruction, raising questions about implementation timelines, oversight structures, and long-term governance arrangements.
And alongside funding, pledges Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, and Albania committed troops to a proposed international stabilization force. Egypt and Jordan agreed to train Palestinian police. The force, led by the U.S. general with an Indonesian deputy, is expected to begin operations in Rafah.
Now, the stabilization plan envisions training 12,000 police and deploying up to 20,000 troops. Now, FIFA also pledged $75 million for sports initiatives, while the United Nations signaled $2 billion in humanitarian assistance. Now, the meeting positions Gulf states at the financial center, which is really what I think it is, of Gaza's post-war reconstruction framework. I think that this meeting is just honestly, it's crazy. It's a crazy meeting with a lot of different characters.
It's very nice, to be honest. There's two sides of this story.
Yeah.
It's a very nice, very generous, very proactive, very, use all the adjectives that you can, move from the Gulf states. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, all the people who've contributed to this. At least minimum was $1 billion. UAE came out with $1.2 billion. But if we're not too late, I think 6-7 months ago, the Gaza reconstruction plan by the Arab states was also announced. That was $54 billion, that they will fund it. They will do it.
It's almost as if it's been hidden under this rug.
Yeah.
We never really heard mention of it again.
Yeah, and I think they made a plan. Trump was smart enough, and he was like, I'll make this plan mine.
He copy-pasted it.
I'll stamp my name on it and call it a Board of Peace.
Yeah.
It's, to be honest, everyone, when this Board of Peace was announced as well, was saying that it looks like a very remodeled United Nations, because this is the job of United Nations.
Yeah.
United Nations has multiple agencies which work for these causes. There's United Nations Human Rights Council, there's United Nations Disarmament and International Disagreement Council. There's so many councils. I used to remember all of them at some point in my life, but now, since they're very less effective, I've forgotten a lot of names.
Yeah.
The more refugee one, UNRWA, is there. The only problem with all this is that where is the money? As Naguib Sawiris said, where is the rest of the money coming from?
Yeah.
Mr. Trump said $10 billion will come from the US. He's already gotten $4 billion from Gulf states. Other people are saying that they'll give forces in the form of manpower. The only problem is that, okay, all of this will be done. Where is the another like set of money. It's $70 billion, not like $5 billion.
The thing is, you don't really see a single Palestinian in sight now, do you? But I think,
No one.
secondly, when you think about it, you mentioned a really good point, Majid, about how what they're essentially doing is the job of the United Nations. And I think it's crazy because in this Board of Peace, and correct me if I'm wrong, Trump is a chairman for life.
Yeah.
He is going to be there for life. But just on the topic of the UN generally, I've been looking at their old documents, Majid, and it's crazy the kind of impact that they have amassed over the years. Honestly, it was mind-boggling to me. And when I say this, I'm not necessarily talking about, their humanitarian work with children, with education, with the SDG goals, the sustainability goals.
Yeah.
I'm more of talking about the very financial infrastructure that they have tried to enforce among developing countries. So what I actually found, I was just reading some documents, and basically back in 2007, the UN itself was basically talking about how organizations operating in developing countries can basically manage things. They can manage projects and how they can do it. And it was something on this topic of basically like, it's this approach that's used. It's called managing for results. It's in management, and it's called managing for results, and it's basically where it's been used for like a decade now, and it's basically where people who are part of projects, they are so focused on, it's kind of like an accountability trap, on actually recording results, that when they actually record the results, they don't stop to look at the results and be like, okay, well, maybe the oil prices have changed. Maybe inflation has changed. Thus, we should change the course of our plans and what we're going to do next. And the United Nations itself actually critiqued that, and they called it like a reporting regime. And so this is what I'm saying. Like the United Nations, what they've done is they've critiqued, how financially things are constructed. It's not just their humanitarian work. So to have these people come in and have so many billions, it's just going to be interesting to see how this goes. It's been a ride. I think it's been quite the ride.
United Nations, the only problem is when you read international political theory, it's very interesting. There is a concept of who polices the police.
Yeah.
Right? So if every nation state is sovereign, if every nation state has the right to do whatever it can to fight to keep its sovereignty. Sovereignty in very simple terms is that we decide what happens within the boundary of our country. So Israel decides whatever happens in the boundary of their country. US decides, UAE decides, Saudi decides, everyone decides that. Sovereignty, you cannot, according to UN Charter, you cannot breach anyone's sovereignty. You go to all the resolutions on Palestine, Gaza, Rafah, any historical resolution, you pick it up, it clearly says in all those documents, they're called resolutions in the United Nations, that all the resolutions state that Israel actually breached Palestinian sovereignty. Because Palestine, a lot of nation states, France, UK, Canada, they all recognize it as a state recently. Last year at the end, remember?
Yeah.
But it was a state recognized by a lot of other countries. Israel breached the sovereignty. Now, who polices the police? Who polices
so true.
Israel? You can't
What a
go
good
to
point.
Palestine and take United Nations cannot actually take Palestine's position or defend them and start fighting with Israel. According to United Nations, a lot of security councils and the Security Council has veto powers, it has 11 permanent members, and then all of the observatory members come in. It sums up to nearly 25, 30 people who are sitting in the United Nations Security Council, and they decide if they should bomb or if they should defend, to be honest, easier diplomatic language, if they should defend Palestine from Israel. Whenever this argument comes up, US says no. No. So for the last 2 years, even when October 7, even if you want this contemporary history, not the decades-long history of struggle by the Palestinians for their sovereignty, the problem is that the United Nations Security Council, which is the only agency in the UN which can actually stop Israel by fighting them, by fighting back, by firing a missile back legally internationally, they are crippled by the US. So 2 years, US allows Israel to bomb Palestine, Gaza. And now they come in and they become the savior with the Board of Peace. So it's so weird. It's very ironic
Yeah. Really?
that they were the one who allow the whole area to be
Yeah.
decimated, and now they're asking Gulf and other
Yeah.
countries and saying they will also invest 10 billion. To
Mohammed
be honest,
Abbad is not joining.
Mohammed
The
Abbas
real
is not
estate
joining.
mogul
Khalaf Al-Abtoor may
is not
join. He's
joining.
like, I would love to be a part of the reconstruction. It's at the very core, at the very macro level. If you look at nation state level, it's bigotry by the US. They allowed it to happen, and now they're asking people for money to reconstruct it.
But you
It's
know
stupid.
what, though, Majid? No, I completely agree with you. But honestly, I don't find this surprising whatsoever because we saw recently what happened with the president in Venezuela, and then right after that,
Fly and pick up a sitting president and fly him out.
Trump is basically saying that, hey, we need to invest like $100 billion to build the infrastructure of Venezuela. We've heard of the oil shipments, but much more than that. I think when you take a look at the U.S. and you take a look at their history, especially, 100 years ago, the 20th century. And it's so interesting to me. It's that you could have someone who's in the UK and they could literally be broke. They could, I don't know what their role is, but they could be so broke. And then what would happen? That person from London or wherever it was from Norway, they catch a boat and they go to America, and suddenly they go to America and they're millionaires and they're billionaires. I think that America in nature, because it has accepted an array of immigrants over the years who come and you don't know what their backgrounds are, and they come, and this is great in everything, but it's like it's you know how they constantly have that critique of monarchs and status in the Gulf. I think that that's important. I think that status should be important. If you have people coming and just overnight, that's just what they become. I think that it's always been a very opportunistic, capitalistic area, since the dawn of time. Go to America and you're going to make money.
The American dream.
Literally, and you're going to become rich, and that's just what it is. And I think it's hilarious because for the longest time ever, they had, well, it's still going on. They have an issue with Russia.
Yeah.
Before it was like the commies, the communists,
The
Soviet
Cold War
Union,
era.
and you see it evolve over the decades, and it just keeps going, and it's funny because they think that they're pushing Russia out, but it's like I don't think anybody wants to be a part of this. Like, yes, leave me out. You know how they say rejection is redirection, but yeah.
The thing that you're mentioning with America and Russia, it's now going on with America and China. Every time someone tries to become a superpower, not in military sense, I think the world is 20, 30 years behind US. Again, it's a military industrial complex. There's literature over literature, as I say always, about how American presidency, American policy, and American economy is controlled by the military industrial complex.
Wait, they said they're building one in Gaza in the board peace meeting. They're going to build an industrial complex in Gaza.
Yeah,
this was a part of a plan. 20,000 troops.
Just one example to make you understand. Just go and watch Lockheed Martin's share price in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You'll be astounded because they're the biggest supplier of the biggest military equipment to the US. They are US based. They are their domestic military stuff maker. So just go and look at those people. A lot of people avoid them because again, some people have this rule against investing in this and that. I keep a close eye on them because it shows you.
Those people are me. It's
A lot of people in this
spirit of
region
Ramadan.
actually, they don't do that because a lot of people don't invest in Palantir because again, data used to do this and that, and genocide in Gaza, a lot of people don't invest in that. But Lockheed Martin and all the military industrial complex, big shots, their share prices always go down as soon as we see something about peace. So Board of Peace, just go look at Lockheed Martin's price. It will definitely take a bow down, but then we will see something and Israel will violate the treaty of peace and they will start bombing and so it starts going up. $30 billion in the last 2 years of military equipment and not like front payment. Israel didn't pay for it. It's like broken down payments. Basically tabbied the whole missiles and jets.
I honestly I don't really blame people that much for not speaking out. I know that it sounds like a hot take, but it's like, look at Amjad Masad.
Yeah.
I know that he's doing great in Silicon Valley right now, and that Replit is about to be valued at $9 billion. If you don't know Replit, you should know Replit. It's quite possibly the best software builder. But the point is, you have this American, Palestinian, Jordanian guy in Silicon Valley. Paul Graham loves him from Y Combinator. But then that's the point. Not everyone in Silicon Valley loves him. I think for me, what really shocked me, Majid, was that there was this one guy who invested in Replit, and I was reading it in the San Francisco feature that they did of him. And you know what this guy did? When he basically saw what Amjad Masad's thoughts were on Palestine, he was like, okay, what I've invested into Replit, I'm going to take the returns that I'm getting from it, and I'm going to invest it into IDF soldiers in Israel. That is crazy. That is like next level op behavior. That's crazy. And when I read that, I was just like, this is mind boggling. This is crazy. Oh my God. We've seen it in history, and we've seen it so many times that people who do stand on that right side, we've seen the consequences.
Yeah.
So I don't really quite blame people for not attempting to destroy their career, because people have gotten their careers destroyed.
It's the most difficult thing as a startup founder, entrepreneur in this time to find an investor which aligns completely with your ideologies, how you see the world. It's very difficult, to be honest. We talk about Sean McGuire and Sequoia so much.
Yeah.
The problem is, if tomorrow I make a startup, I can't find an investor, somehow Sequoia invests in me. That feeling of like, oh, no one believes in me, Sequoia does. So on an entrepreneurial, pure business level, I would be thankful with them. Like, thank you for investing in my idea, and let's grow it together. But then when it comes to ideology of them allowing Sean McGuire to say all those Islamophobic things, and me as, for example, a Muslim founder, it's so complicated right now. I'm not saying it's easy for Amjad Masad to just say like, oh, I won't take money from this guy or that guy because someone from this company did this. It's nearly nerve-wracking for you to decide if you want to take the money. Would they in the future, like, it's homework for founders as well. There was a time, I think, you just pitched your business to 100 of the best VCs and everyone in the world, and without any thinking about, oh, what is their ideology? I don't care. As long as they're giving me the money that I need for my startup, it's fine. But I think with this rise of the Muslim entrepreneur, I think that should, or the Middle Eastern entrepreneur, I would call it the Muslim entrepreneur because all of these guys are Muslims. The rise of ethics in business, the standards are also getting higher. So it's not just that their startups are doing great, they're at billion-dollar valuations. They are setting high standards in business ethics as well, that we'll do business with you, but sorry, we won't ascribe to these ideologies. So either you completely ignore them, neither confirm nor deny them, don't take part in those conversations. We would love to do business with you. But if you're taking a side, we would love to see that us doing business, you're taking the right side.
I don't think it's even about sides anymore. I think it's about product. Like Majid, I was wrong about Anthropic. So Majid convinced me to use Claude.
Claude is too good.
This is insane. And what it can do with Excel. Like, this is mind-boggling. So they've just hit like $100 billion valuation. I've been using Claude, and it's like a crazy information bank. And the Excel feature that they have, I'm like, where have you been my entire life? Like, Dario, I'm so sorry. You said some crazy things, but you made a good product. You made a good product.
If you're doing like maths, legal work, if you're doing something that was historically very human-based, like law, a lot of people, they would find precedents. It would take them months to go through legal cases and find a precedent. So a precedent is a case which has been delivered upon a result, and you can use that result and just go to the court and be like, see this. You have to give this result. So precedents are very important, but it was very difficult to find them. And good lawyers remembered the precedents. Now it's in a Perplexity. Just go to Perplexity, be like, give me precedents for that, it will give you precedents. Obviously, you have to double check them, but you won't have to
Yeah.
go through encyclopedias.
And don't forget, Ronaldo has a Perplexity chat.
Yeah.
So if you go on that chat and you search anything about his career, you're going to find out. And his
Yeah.
career right now, it's definitely booming. So he has made a new move. So the world's highest paid footballer, Ronaldo, has just invested $7.5 million for a 1% stake in HBL Protocol software. It's essentially this herbal health and nutrition technology subsidiary focused on personalized wellness through digital platforms.
And the investment was announced alongside Herbalife's fourth quarter earnings. The company reported a 6.3% rise in quarterly sales and a 1% increase in full year 2025 revenue. Following the news, Herbalife shares surged more than 15%. So sad I couldn't buy it, but okay, Ronaldo.
So Ronaldo has been a paid partner of Herbalife since 2013, but this marks his first direct equity investment in the company. He described the deal as a natural evolution of their long-standing partnership and a strategic step in his business expansion.
And beyond football, Ronaldo generated roughly $50 million from business ventures last year, including CR7 branded hotels, gyms, and watches. He also commands more than 1 billion followers globally across platforms, making him the most followed athlete worldwide.
As he prepares for the 2026 World Cup at age 41, Ronaldo continues chasing his aim of 1,000 goals. I think with this entire story, you really have to think of Ronaldo. And my question is, Majid, do we think that it's him? Or do we think that it's, some hidden person that is managing his wealth so well for him? Because from what I know about his childhood and how he grew up, I don't believe that he got a concrete education, which is not necessarily a problem. He's done really great for himself. He's a great personality. But it's like all these wealth decisions that he's making. I feel that when you reach a point where you become a billionaire, I think that it is difficult to find a person to manage your money who you can actually trust, who's not necessarily advising you in their own interest. And with Ronaldo, he has a manager that Bloomberg wrote about, and he's called Miguel Marquez, and he's based in Lisbon, and it's called LM Capital Wealth Management. So if anyone here is thinking, how can I make better investments like Ronaldo? Get into that office.
I don't think after managing Ronaldo, he has time to manage anyone.
Oh,
I
probably.
think personally,
for
he
sure.
manages Ronaldo's assets and his investments, but he would have a team to obviously market that we manage Ronaldo, and then they can manage other people. Very interestingly, we were talking about Claude, by the way. There's a comment, what was the name of AI? There's Claude, it's by Anthropic. There's Perplexity. Perplexity is by the name of Perplexity. Their chatbot is Perplexity. I was talking about Perplexity. He's saying, I mean you. Okay, coming back to Ronaldo. Ronaldo, very interesting interview with Piers Morgan. I think that was the last interview we saw. And he was like, before Bloomberg said I was a billionaire at 39. It's a very nice insight into how a world-class athlete thinks, believes, and not only athletic side, the business side is very important. And he's like, I come from zero money, and to be honest, for me, managing money is very important because I don't want to lose it someday. So that is why we've seen Portugal has now like 4 different areas, paddle courts. She's invested into paddle, perfume brand, whatever I think Miguel thinks of that this would be a good investment, he does it.
And even Whoop. And you know what? When I think of Whoop, when I saw the ad...
what was the name of the recent one? The last year we covered him. We also feathered off Vadim. What's the name of Vadim? Bionic. He also invested 10 billion. I know. He bought some percentage. He didn't tell the money, but he bought into that also. So it's interesting. Ronaldo is into every biotech or health tech thing.
I think also the way that he's also diversified it. He's a sports guy. He knows that this is what we believe in. This is what his audience is into. But I'm sorry, but if I see Ronaldo investing in media, like I'm going to be so confused. Like, what are you doing? Are you becoming like Naguib Sawiris and starting Monify? But it would just really confuse me. But I think with Ronaldo, and you also see it in his wife, the way both of them have just completely diversified everything. Recently, they bought homes in the Red Sea in Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia. Honestly, for me, I'm just happy that he is in Saudi because, like, I will admit something. I would say that in the past, I had not known that much about Saudi as I know now.
Yeah.
And you know, I know that there are some people who critique Saudi Arabia's approach of, you know, how they attract talent to Saudi.
Yeah.
But I think it's so amazing. I think it's so amazing how they're bringing all these comedians, they're bringing in all these footballers. Like, honestly, Majid, we need to go to FII. I was telling Kiki this, I'm going to tell you this now. We need to go. Like, it has to happen.
Next year, yeah. But I think with Ronaldo, there's this one part of his interview that really
Yeah.
amazed me, and it's a very nice, to be honest,
With Pierre?
advice. Yeah, with Piers Morgan, and it's a very nice advice for anyone who's young like you. You're very young. A lot of people who listen to us, if they're young,
Yeah.
he said that at a very early age, when I started playing football, and my father was thankfully very supportive, he was like, I knew I would become great, and I was like, how can you know that? And he goes on and explains it. He's like, I knew I would become great because I loved playing football. One, that's the most important part. But I knew that I will have to work hard for it. I will have to give everything up just to be the greatest footballer on the planet. So that's the first part. That's the mentality that you need to become great. And then he works hard. That's the physical part of it. You actually put in the work. But then he said that even at that time, in the early days when I was just a player and playing for a Portuguese club, or even before that playing locally, I always sat down and thought, what if I had $1 million today? What if I land $1 million contract today? What will I do? What will I do with that money? So he wasn't only planning his footballing career that
Yeah.
I'll score 1,000 goals. Side by side, he knew that when I become a great player, I will have money too. So I will have to think about investing. So he's like, at that point, I would always sit down and be like, I would buy a car, I would do this, I would do that. And then he's like, after a few years, the dreams and the ideals and the motives and goals behind it,
Yeah.
they started changing. Because then I was like, if I'm so rich, I can afford a car. What will I do next? So I think
Yeah.
it is
Planning
a
ahead,
part, it's part of
it's
their
important.
DNA when people who are meant to be or destined to be great
Yeah.
or know that they can become great and they will put in the work for it. They also have this part where they're like, what if I get $1 billion today? So what will you do if you get $1 billion today?
$1 billion.
$1 billion today.
$1
What will you do?
billion.
No, billion. Let's talk
Billion.
billions.
Just 1 billion? Well,
Just 1 billion?
No, because I'm thinking about this practically. Honestly, I would go buy a bunch of homes.
Right.
I would start
Property.
with Shoba. I love Shoba. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The location.
Yeah.
I'd buy a bunch of homes. I'd refurnish them. Then I rent them out, and then I quit my job. So I'm getting monthly streams. I'm getting monthly
Yeah.
streams of income. No, I thought about this. I really
Yeah.
did think about this. No, I would probably make the money work for me.
Yeah. Put some in dividend stocks which give 4 or 5, like buy EMAR yearly 4% yield. Not
Yeah.
bad, right?
No, 100%. I would do that. And
This is
and-
not financial advice. We're just brainstorming.
Yeah, I think that's what I would probably do.
Yeah.
I would monetize everything, and
Yeah.
I would not necessarily go and immediately start a business
Yeah.
unless I'd actually, and I would not let myself feel like I'm rich. You know that influencer called Twinkle? Imagine.
Twinkle,
I love
Stanley?
Twinkle. Yes, Twinkle is amazing. So Twinkle used to work at Cosmopolitan for ITP, and then she started her influencing thing, and she's so big right now on social media. And she recently had this amazing campaign with Kayali, which is so big because Muna Katan, unlike Huda Beauty, she does not necessarily collab with all the influencers.
Yeah.
I know that recently she also had Safa Siddiqui from Dubai Bling, and she had billboards all across the roads in Jumeirah. But what I'm trying to say, my point here is, you have this girl Twinkle, and right now, I keep up with her social media. I love it. And her biggest story right now is that I'm moving apartments. And she was basically talking about how Majid, that even after her entire social media thing kicked off, she never let herself feel like, okay, I'm good, I'm wealthy, I can go. She said that I didn't allow myself to live within the actual salary bracket that I just attained, so that I could, in the sense of basically stay down to earth, stay
For
down
example,
to earth.
if you're earning
and-
30 a month,
Yeah.
live in 15. Don't
No, I just-
make your lifestyle equal to 30, right? Because then
think it's
you won't
also
save.
because think of all these influencers. Like, the second they all get so much money, back in the day, it used to be they all used to move to LA. Now they all move to Dubai,
Yeah.
all thanks to Creators HQ. But my point here is to say is that when they move so quickly with it, so many of them have burned their money.
Yeah.
So I think what Twinkle is doing, she definitely is. I think she's going to build a long-term career for herself, and it's going to be exciting to
Yes.
see. And for our final story of the day. In a move reinforcing East-to-East strategic ties, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed met India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Now, the meeting took place on the sidelines of the landmark AI Impact Summit.
And His Highness Sheikh Khalid conveyed the warm greetings of UAE President His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Prime Minister Modi reciprocated, expressing appreciation for the UAE's partnership and wishing continued prosperity and growth for the Emirati people.
Now, discussions moved swiftly beyond diplomatic courtesies. Both leaders reviewed the strength of the UAE-India comprehensive strategic partnership with a clear focus on expanding economic collaboration and accelerating high-impact investments across priority sectors.
And particular emphasis was placed on technology, healthcare, and the evolving insurance landscape. The leaders also explored opportunities to channel capital into innovation-driven ecosystems that strengthen resilience and unlock long-term value for both economies.
Now, AI Minister Umar Al-Ulama and Mubadala Chairman Khaldoon Al-Mubarak were present, really emphasizing how important this meeting was. And it's the fact that they made it in time for Ramadan.
Yes.
That's amazing. I think that really does. Listen, Majid, if an Arab is coming to you during Ramadan, you just
Shows
know,
that,
they care. They care
Yeah.
because for me, I want to make it to my Taraweeh prayers.
Yeah.
But it's I think with this entire story, I think it's interesting. I told Kiki this before, Majid, but what we're seeing right now, especially with His Highness the Crown Prince Khalid, and what we're seeing with the Crown Prince of Dubai,
Yeah.
Hamdan, is that we're seeing their resurgence as leaders.
Yeah.
That is really what we're seeing. It first started with the entire Dubai loop, the Boring Company, and then from Abu Dhabi's side, this new sovereign wealth fund,
Yeah.
Al-Hamad, that's investing in Paramount's bid for Warner Bros. Discovery, about $24 billion, I believe. So I think the fact that you see him, and even
And
the
they've
Grand
already-
Egyptian opening,
Yeah.
the Grand Egyptian opening, the new museum, it was Prince Khalid that came to represent the UAE. Sorry, what did you want to say?
No, I was just saying, Limad has already taken over ADQ's assets. So to be honest, when we started talking about it,
Yeah.
even before the logo was launched and Sheikh Khalid, His Highness, was announced as the chairman, we knew that it had invested in Modon, and then it literally gulped up Modon. So Modon is a Abu Dhabi development company. They took that. Modon is basically developing the northeast.
Modon?
Modon. Modon.
Okay.
Modon, I don't know the Arabic version, but Modon. They are the people who got the contract. So UAE government, Abu Dhabi government, and Egypt government, they signed a contract to develop the north coast of Egypt, and Modon was the company which was put forward to develop it. So Modon got like $1 billion contract, and they recently gave a subcontract to Orascom, the Saveris brothers. It keeps going, it keeps giving that story. The funny part is that Modon is now under Lemad. ADQ is now, all the assets have been transferred to Lemad. So basically what
They're
we're
still in
seeing
the
is
process, from what I
they
know.
renamed ADQ to Lemad, but it's a nice branding and rebranding, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we will see more of it if the Warner Brothers Discovery deals goes through, Paramount's deal, which is backed by sovereign wealth funds. Then Lemad will also hold a part of the Warner Brothers Discovery. So what we are seeing is, this is a little small political chat that you will have to understand that in Abu Dhabi right now, the sitting president, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, his son is the crown prince, and he has to become eventually the UAE president, one, and the leader of Abu Dhabi and the Amir, or what do you call it, the leader of Abu Dhabi also. And right now, whenever we talk about Abu Dhabi's wealth, who do we talk about? His Highness Sheikh Tanoon.
Yeah.
So His Highness Sheikh Tanoon sits on ADIA. He
No,
sits
but I
on the
think-
board of.
I think they all have different roles.
Yeah,
in their
that's
own
what I'm
way.
trying to explain, because a lot of chatter is there that,
Yeah.
why would you create a sovereign wealth fund which will gulp up a sovereign wealth fund, rebrand it, and make His Highness Sheikh Khalid the head? It's not that there's something going on behind the scenes. There's simple basic maths that you need to put the crown prince sitting over billions of dollars of wealth, which Abu Dhabi is famous for. His Highness Sheikh Tanoon, to be honest, he's done one of the historically amazing job of creating those giants, the IHC with 14,000 companies, then all the funds, ADIA, Mubadala.
He's behind G42.
He's literally behind everything that
Yeah.
everyone talks about in Abu Dhabi.
And he's also building homes using ChatGPT.
Yeah, but you need to bring the crown prince with something into the picture as well. And as Worth correctly pointed out, they are the future of
Yeah.
this country, and these faces will be the faces that will be now plastered over everything. Once the original leaders, they decide to give the throne to the princes and make them the kings,
I don't
right?
know too, Majid. I let you be with that one. I was like, I'm not sure how this process goes.
I think the best way is we've seen that representationally they have
Yeah.
allowed Hamdan and His Highness Sheikh Khalid. Both of them have started going to more events. Representationally, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the Dubai ruler, we see him less and less at events.
You know, I saw him at 1 Billion Summit.
Yeah.
I was
He
so
now
shocked.
comes there. He
Yeah.
does a round, and it's a very nice round. But His Highness Sheikh Hamdan is now more towards the practicality of it. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia. The king himself has a very ceremonial role right now. It's Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto leader, the sitting crown prince, who is deciding everything. The Vision 2030 is Mr. Mohammed bin Salman, His Royal Highness's idea. So it's very nice way of transitioning, keeping the original leaders and then giving the new princes the authority to take decisions. Dubai loop, we saw His Highness Sheikh Hamdan with Elon Musk. It could have been very easily His Highness Mohammed bin Rashid. But he chose
they all
Hamdan
have-
to go.
And you also see it with His Highness Sheikh Abdullah.
Yeah.
So His Highness Sheikh Abdullah, he was the UAE royal that is behind much of the diplomatic and peace deals that are made with the UAE. So the Gaza board of peace meeting was attended by him. I believe he is also behind the Abrahamic records.
Yeah.
So I think I see it as a strategy. If to put each person responsible for something massive,
Yeah.
the nation's development. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. We'll see you on Monday now. Happy Ramadan. Enjoy your weekend and Ramadan. Eat less. I think exercise more. Drink more water. Keep yourself
not.
hydrated.
Get all the kunafa as you can.
Yeah. Enjoy the feast that this holy month brings. Have a great day. We'll see you on Monday. Bye bye.